Hola, welcome everyone to City Lights Live. This is City Light Bookstore's virtual reading series, in case you don't know where you are, that continues in the footsteps of our old in-store calendar events. You know, we used to have the gatherings up in the poetry room. Well, now we're all in the Zoom mundo together. By the way, y'all look fabulous in your little squares. I've seen such beautiful faces in a long time. The bookstore continues to bring you authors we know and love through this online series with readings, discussions, symposiums, and much, much more into the fall season. Like many of you gente out there know, the bookstore is not only a bookstore, it's also a publishing house. And we continue to publish in the grand tradition of our dearly departed patriarch, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, whose office I happen to be broadcasting from right now. Yes, little City Lights love broadcast to you all. Recently, City Lights published a new book of poetry from the current poet laureate of San Francisco, Tango Eisen Martin, Blood on the Fall. This book is fire, man. You could throw this book in a tank and it would wreck it. And also, we're really proud the 50th anniversary edition of the one and only Revolutionary Letters by Dan de Prima is out as well. So we're bursting with pride. To be sure, to learn more about the books that we published, as well as our upcoming events, check out our newly revamped Super Suave website, www.citylights.com. And also, for those of you that don't know, the bookstore has been open for business now for months. We're here 7 days a week, 12 to 8. And I do not say this lightly, the bookstore has missed you. So if you're in the San Pancho City or you're in La Área Bahia, come on by. We have mask enforcement inside, a hand sanitizer, a scary sign from Subcomandante Marcos outside, say wear the pinta mask. So come on in, it's safe, and really the bookstore misses you, okay? For real. Okay, now, for the real reason we're here, y'all. Look at this hermosura libro. We are celebrating Project 1521's book release, mi gente, the book release of Tlaxquilex, or Tlaxquilequis, Tongues in Quarantine. Man, this is a woo, for real. And tonight we are blessed to have several members of Project 1521 here with us, and they're going to be reading from this incredible new book. The poetas in the Zoom mundo tonight are each going to read poems and then introduce the next poetas. And we're going to do it like that, okay? Hope that's all right with everybody. Also, we're gonna have a Q&A at the end of the reading. So if you have any burning questions for the poetas, anything you want to ask, now's your chance. Post it in the comment section, and we'll be reading it to them at the end of the night. And also, last but not least, there's going to be a link to buy this beautiful volume of Poesía en Memoria. And so get it. It's going to comment section. Gonna direct you directly to Hinchas de Poesía Press, where you can buy the book and have it for your own. So without further ado, por favor, give a warm Zoom Mundo welcome to the poets of Project 1521. And our first poet up tonight, start this all off, is Arminé Ikandossian. So give a Zoom welcome.
Thank you, Josiah. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with my gente and with everybody. Thank you all so much for coming on a Wednesday night. Let's make this hump day humptastic. So I just wanted to quickly introduce Project 1521 and how this book even came to be. Chicana artist Sandy Rodriguez and Diana Magaloni and Adolfo Guzman-Lopez kind of worked their magic, their triumvirate magic to, one of the headlines I read was to map a polyphonic Chicanx codex tradition in the 21st century. And that's kind of what we're doing with the book. It's a bunch of our voices together, singing the praises of Sandy's beautiful work, but also remembering the past. As Adolfo wrote at one point, I'm quoting him now, the power of prophecy is not that it foretells the future, but that it shakes us into seeing our present. That's what we're trying to do as gente. and Project 1521. This year is the 500-year anniversary of the fall of the Aztec Empire, but not the destruction, not the conquering. We are all evident that we have not been conquered. So I will read a couple of poems. My name is Arminé Ikandossian. I am a poet based in Los Angeles, a refugee from the Civil War in Beirut when I was 4 years old. I know displacement very well, and I'm also Armenian, so I understand genocide and the threat of annihilation and the existential threat very well. So thank you very much. I will read 3 poems, and then I will introduce our next reader. The first poem is in the book, For Pain in the Heart, a Recipe. This is dedicated to 16-year-old Juan de Leon Gutierrez, 7-year-old Jacqueline Calmaquin, 8-year-old Felipe Gomez Alonso, 2-year-old Vilmer Josue Ramirez Vasquez, 16-year-old Carlos Hernandez Vasquez, 20-month-old girl Marie Juarez, and 10-year-old Darren Cristabel Cordova Valle, who all died while in custody of US Customs and Border Protection. Take the juice of the Nonocton ascanpaiswa, an herb that grows near anthills, mix with gold leaf, resin from amber, shavings from turquoise, red coral, ochre. Kill a stag with your bare hands, slice its chest open, pull out the steaming heart still beating. Start a fire with witch hazel and brush, roast the stag heart till charred, burnt black. Slice off a piece of the heart. Mix all with water. Sip the potion that tastes like soil, shimmers like 24-karat starlight. Taste the blues and reds, the blood and marrow of the sacrificial animal. The red ants crawling through your ventricles will disappear. Then your chest will open, your fists will unclench, your hands will transform into desert flowers. My second piece is dedicated to the artist Sandy Rodriguez. The artist grows wings. She drives back and forth looking for cover, so much desert. And she is only one woman with a name like quicksand knee deep. She is doing something illegal, laying her sleeping bag somewhere she shouldn't. She lays down with her back to the moon, watches the mountains made of red rocks. Every minute, a new shadow, a sharp cut of light. Magic like sore feet and dusty backpacks. Magic like a young girl floating behind a mother who holds tight the child's hand, a ribbon tied to a balloon in the shape of a small girl. This is California, Arizona, Texas. This is not a yellow street sign on the highway north of Baja, not factory made, not municipal, not paid for by taxes. The image is a movie on the face of the red rocks. It is every mother and child running, running so fast the girl grows wings, takes off. She is brown, she is red, she is sky. And this is a newer one from our last meeting as a group where we workshopped together. And thank you so much for being here and hearing us. This is In the New World. In the New World, or after we all come back from hiding, First Nations will speak in the language of dust and mica. Quartzite will be a tongue. Only the Cahuilla know. Hematite will be spoken by the Chumash. All First Nations will speak in gemstone in the new world after we all come back. We will speak malachite if we live in Arizona. I would love to learn Vesuvianite, cabochon, common in California. In this new alphabet, in this new world, the newborns will suckle on freshwater pearls from Tennessee or moss agate from Montana. Their tongues rough ruby, eyes tiger. If we speak jade or amethyst, they can't steal them from us again. All that buried opal, safe in our mouths, our throats, in the new world. The next poet that you have the honor of hearing is also the founder of Hinchas Press, which our book is published by. And he's an amazing poet and a librarian and a zine maker and a punk rocker and a poet. Iago Cuda.
Thank you, Arminé, and thank you so much for this beautiful kind of arena for us to kind of talk about this book and talk about the things that really excite us as writers and as poets. My name is Yago Cuda, and all the things that Arminé said are true. Hinchas is for those of us in the Spanish-speaking world, and hincha is a fan of a soccer club, but to call him a fan is kind of like not very endearing. They're like homicidal maniacs of soccer, let's just say. So I thought, how great to have a press, a poetry press named after homicidal maniacs. So that's kind of what we came to this project with, and thank you so much, Peter, Josiah, and City Lights. This is a dream come true. I just wanted to say this project really came and made sense to me a lot last night. My son and I were talking about Cortez, and this project has kind of taught me how to talk about, like Arminé was saying, it's not the decimation, it's not the fall, it's just this is what Cortez did, but we're still here. We are all products of this mestizaje and of this survival, and I'm very proud to share the what we're doing tonight with all these great poets. So let me just shut up and read 3 of the poems that are in here. The first one is Imaginate, and it's dedicated to all the Haitian migrants that are crossing. I've seen the pictures that cross or were crossing every day into Texas to, to figure out the immigration thing. And my parents are immigrants to this country, and I grew up in Miami, and Miami has a very weird relationship with Haitians. So, Haitians are not allowed, or were not allowed, because they were economic refugees, whereas Cubans were political, which we all know is not true. So it's a very complex and kind of weird history. This is Imaginate. Imagine making Arizona from Guatemala on foot on thousands of feet. Imagine getting nicked by the security apparatus of a dying, belligerent country. Imagine your only solution is breach, barbed wire, river borders, sea chasms, or death valleys. Imagine you save a fortune to pay a stranger in a long line of strangers, and there's no guarantee any of them aren't charlatans ours. Imagine your parents receive video of you on the other side of some miserable, invisible line as some sort of trafficking receipt. Imagine the middle of the desert, thick with theodolites from all the angles spent ingressing, spent coalescing a horizontal or vertical entry plane. Imagine the milky hulls of half-empty jugs abandoned in the scrub like cairns or hollow teeth dedicated to thirst. Imagine going from evaporated milk stars and black coffee skies to constellations of ducks and closed circuit scalpel cameras. Imagine you hoard all the flu shots, all the ridiculous bars of soap, all the too tiny toothbrushes, all the instant coffee and creamer packets, all the jailhouse slippers and super sad ass uniforms, all the indigent kits, all the stainless steel toilets and basins, all the toddler pods and bargain panopticons that you can sardine into a convention center. Imagine you convert a Walmart into a concentration camp, a supermarket into a tribunal of sand, a presidency into a jingoistic gangland, rampart ampere, hellbent on mutiny. Imagine someone, somewhere, in some fake ass fatherland boardroom asking something integral to the conversation, something like, on what aisle and at what height should we fly our federally mandated yet shiny as fuck defibrillators? Another great thing about this project and the people that I work with and the people that we've built this book with is learning of the history, my history. My parents are Argentine, so I'm the insufferable Argentine of this group, and I wear that, you know, with a lot of pride. But I've learned a lot about my history, mestizaje, what it means to me, and what it means to my children. So it's very important. So this is Tlacuilos, and yeah. In Aztec glyphs, the symbol for painter, two diagonal scrolls in a rectangular frame. In a Mar Vista garage taller, a modest lecture hall on grinding cochinillo to make Eon Old red. In Nahuatl, in Chilango slang, in Lunfardo from Buenos Aires and Spanglish from Los Angeles, in Lebanese Arabic and Maya, in Quechua and Zapotec, in a Long Beach synagogue or Pacoima taco shop, in poetry brothels constructed from bones of faith corporations, in groves of spoiled fruit, in training painters to be a class of sonic illustrators in the Calmecac, in holding 2 or 3 part-times in the hopes of adding up to one vocation, in attaining gifted witness status as compilers of their own demise from that treacherous campaign, Make Spain Great Again. In bloody field notes, in bullhorns and sirens of ruin, in appendages of institutes and technocratic amate grammar, in future bark and shadow progenitors, in pre-Columbian body cams and closed circuit storyboards, in classrooms, voluntold by friars to tap the story out. And as Arminé was saying, one of the advantages as well is working so closely with a painter like Sandy Rodriguez, who's so generous with what she knows and so generous in helping to fill what we don't know with historical stuff and stuff that we need to know. Also, thank you to Diana for that. So we're very blessed I'm surrounded by people who are way smarter, way better writers than me. And that has made me really try to step my game up. So thank you. The last one I'm gonna read is Calavera Cópteros. And this is for Sandy Rodriguez. Hovering skulls and bones over Veracruz and South LA, pero tinicitos, super pequencito. Rotor, Guido, Ratchet, Nat, Partisanos, flip the cumbia switches within. Over the Mission and Hialeah, this centrifuge surface to air history in savage cavalry army mirage. Speakers descend from the fuselage over Spanish Harlem and Pilsen, orange bloated vapors of the sun's lucre, target acquisition nativist traditions, mini cumulonimbus chopper armada over Roxbury and Watts and Logan Barrio. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for showing up and for showing interest. I have the distinct honor of introducing Linda Ravenswood. I just wanted to say thanks for everything, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Yago, the Yagman, the Ragman, the librarian with the long Argentinian beard that reaches across the world. That's me trying to do, I don't know, that's my Ferlinghetti, right? Amen. Oh man, I don't know. Okay, so boy, oh boy, I'm so happy to be anywhere near City Lights Books. I'm in Los Angeles, of course, right now, because these are the virtual days, the days that seem almost like days. They're kind of like days. And so it's kind of like City Lights Books. I saw Lawrence Ferlinghetti's Rolodex a few minutes ago, so I'm literally high on my own supply. So let me just jump right in and get right to it. These are all new poems. And then at the very end, I'll read one of the pieces from Tlaquilix. Thank you so much to Iago Cuda for this amazing book, my homie. And also thank you so much to Darren De Leon for setting up this reading with all his bros at City Lights. Cherished place. Okay, so this one is called, I think it was, I think it was intentional that father married mother in her milk white skin and stale red hair. Can you see the hayrick on Wilshire Boulevard covered in some straw tarp and lemon yellow something highly allergic, something covered in the world, my mother. I think it was intentional he selected her after being all colonized himself so long with the Cervantes helmet and the windmill heart for Cortez, liar nine hands, the way he rode to the village after his confirmation, his white huipil and little bandana, his neck covered like a fresh leek or a daffodil held in raffia. What part of him was still indigenous? They said most montaños with their high foreheads like kitchen break fronts have a special place to hold the china. Hold it in, hold it back. The hot bronze bust of my grandfather's grandfather in the middle of town where the Indios press their backs to rest. Obviously, when he came to the United States, he zeroed in on my mother Mayflower. Blue balls had to follow that stream, had to place his colonial mate at the foot of her marble temple. I know he wanted a boy, just one boy, one white boy. Later, when he wed that very blonde cocktail waitress from Burbank, he was swift to adopt her son, the product of too much Maker's Mark and Saturday nights dragging Alameda. When I visited them at their bungalow on Reese Avenue behind the Talleyrand, soft crumples of aprons and uniforms from the bar back, the Schlitz bottles led all the way up the drive and into the kitchen. They had a full crate of joy, de Jean de Patou, to show they finally made it. They ripped out the garage and turned it into a bedroom, but I know for sure they never loved each other there. Thank you. Second piece is also very new. It's called The Children Turn Themselves into Ice. They really do. The children turn themselves into ice. You could be lonely, don't you think? Alone with those who killed their brothers. I remember. Do you remember me? Where is it that you went? Are you ice? I am a flag. Are you the government? I can be quiet. I can remember my brother if you want. I could imagine, I could pretend, I could imagine I never existed, you never existed, and I walk across the desert. Was it a dream? I can imagine that your truck, your rig is an ice cream truck, your siren, the song calls me through the windows and down to the street. I can imagine the desert in the street. I can imagine this is the way to school, this fence, the fence between the two grand properties. My father, the king of the mountain and the land to the west, my uncle of the domain beyond. There are orchards and olive trees and fish ponds, my mother in a diaphanous dress. I can imagine my pockets are full of maize. I am little Johanna Appleseed, little Johanna Semilla de Manzana. I can turn myself in. I can become ice. You have to remember everything, but be as quiet as stone. Little girl, imagine a stone in a special kind of book, a Kubrickian book, the kind of book that holds oblivion. If you can be that quiet, if you can be that good, that useful, if you can be that slate gray and not problematic, if you can turn yourself into ice. I heard a little girl on the opposite side of the Rio Grande successfully turned herself into ice and floated downstream. She was that kind of glacial child who tripped a little, left a little, and flowed. When she finally came to the sluice gate in La Paz, it was just enough to scoop out of the water. There was just enough story left. Right on. Swiftly, swiftly. Another new poem. Where do we go? We can't be this hungry. There are miles to go before we stop. We talked so next in the evening, so pulled up the covers and cut the vegetables, so applied the cream and kissed the children, rolled the curlers and fetched in the cat, checked the doors and made sure our cars were on the right sides of the street. We lunged at the windows to make the whistling stop, threw all our weight around against the casements, through doorways and the traffic, our boat along the lane. There are miles to go before we sleep, if we're lucky, the bleed of each day into weeks, into months, into years, seasons of dental chairs and supermarket lorries. Does the hair grow thinner, our jowls fuller? We cannot be this hungry as we collapse through walls of water and ocean all around. Did I hear you right? Is all the water in the world filled with the peed out antidepressants of the West? When I look at the COVID map, there's a huge blue splotch of COVID that means North America, a watercolor droplet, an ink spill, a cloudstone, flower petal, grease clog. Sunday's poetry cannot be squeezed from the throat of the poet. It has to fall like a boot on the bed knell at the end of the day. So those are some poems I'm working on right this minute. And then this, to tie it all up with a bow, is one of the poems from our book, Tlacuilix. I hope you like it. I hope you care about it. I hope you run on down to City Lights and buy it. Here it is. It's called Orchid Bulb Ox. Wow, it's not called any of those things. I'm sorry. It's called Orchid Bulb Foxblood Seafoam a Poultice. And it is for the 7 children whose names Arminé intoned for us at the beginning of our reading, the 7 children who perished in US detention the year that we began our project. That's Darlen Cristabel Cordova Valle, Jacqueline Caal Maquin, Felipe Gomez Alonso, Juan de León Gutierrez, Wilmer Josue Ramírez Vázquez, Carlos Hernández Vázquez, y Marie Juarez. You will not be forgotten, nor ever, though you return to air and earth. You will be in the dawn again, braided in our bread. Our ox bones will bear the need of you, the essential you. Our leaves and trees will increase with you. We will imbibe of you. Our river water will increase because of you. We'll imbibe of you in night. You, the remanded, the blighted, the swept. You, the medicine for our children, though no star shattered to feed you in the tremor in your hour of need. Your mother's hands, a fury, a cloud, all fastness to bring you over, the eternal recurrence of your gift, your footprint, your small foot on the place, every desert plant, and I will become you. You will not be forgotten, you. Your useful voice will sing in the desert again, your child call and ghost wisdom, your strength to withstand conquest, your ancient battalion against bronze heavy hands, a pressure sacrilegious from outside you, your strength to rebuild the tower of our people. Over and again, your ironweed, your night, your time under glass. Though your throat was closed, it will become the tributary. The medicine of your veins will speak the healing. Your body will return the protection of which you were robbed. Your body, the breakers. Your body, the rock. Your body, the breath. Your body, the night. Your body, the safety. Your body, the light. Your body, the tunnel of grass. Your body, the place. Your body, the coven. Your body, the wood, until you become everything. Thanks, guys. Again, so incredibly thrilled to be here with you and to uplift the voices that are not here with us, to lift themselves. Viva la raza, thank you so much. To City Lights, I truly love City Lights with all my heart. I have been going to City Lights since I was a little weird child, and I shall hopefully return to you again. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much, Yago, for the book. Thank you so much, Darren, for this incredible reading. It is my, yay, City Lights, no. Let's see. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the next reader. I do believe it is our brother, the one, the only, Adolfo Guzman-Lopez. You know him because he has that kind of cotton candy, sort of brown caramel voice, you know, on the radio. If you want to know anything about what's going on in any school in the West, all you have to do is just tune into your local NPR station and hear from Adolfo Guzman-Lopez. He has so much amazing stuff on the burners right now. A fantastic podcast it's about to drop. Ooh, so much good stuff. He is our favorite from San Diego, from Tijuana. Oh my gosh, my brother, Adolfo Guzman-Lopez.
Wow, what an honor to be introduced by you, Linda. I love it. I love you. I love all the Tlacuilos. Hey, everybody. My name's Adolfo Guzman-Lopez. I'm a poet and I'm a journalist. I'm a reporter in public media in Los Angeles, Southern California Public Radio. And I'm trying to contract. I'm trying to become small here, you know, before the Big Bang, trying to contract so that you can see this beautiful painting behind me. So that's a painting by Sandy Rodriguez. And that's kind of what started it all, because back in like 2017, 2018, I saw this painting in person, and it's made on amate paper, the mulberry and fig fiber paper that was outlawed by the Spaniards. Talk about banned books, right? It was outlawed by the Spaniards during the conquest period. When I saw this painting, and it's green from a natural dye, I was shaken up. And by the way, you remember Yago talked about calavera copteros. That's one right here. I don't know if you could see it. It's a ghetto bird, but it's got a little calavera as a face, right? So I saw this and I was shaken. And because it's natural colors and the fibers, you know, totally replaced the greens that I had grown up with. Greens of the Mexican flag, greens during, you know, the presidential elections in Mexico, in Tijuana, where I lived, and all these greens that I held so dear to me, it all seemed imposed and artificial. And I started talking to Sandy, and she was telling me about how she was going out to the desert and getting plants for these colors and reading the Florentine Codex for recipes and formulas. And then she told me about the scholar and writer and curator Diana Magaloni and her book, The Colors of the New World. And I wrote about Sandy, and and then I had these visions of Miriam, Moses' sister, and how she saved him, and how wherever the people went and Miriam was there, a well sprung up, water sprung up. And when Miriam died, the people had no water. This was their prophet. And I thought, why not put together a group of people? I can't be the only one, able to have these epiphanies or moments or, times of connection. And so much like I did with Taco Shop Poetry back in the mid-90s with a crew of people in San Diego, Tijuana, and Spine of Califas, the poetry series in LA, through the Tropico de Nopal Gallery in LA and other readings, I thought, wow, the collective voice, that's where it's at. And this group of poets and writers met in Sandy's Mar Vista studio. It's like a 1.5 car garage. Actually, it's more like maybe like 2 Volkswagen Bugs, the old Bugs, maybe, or maybe just one. So here we were surrounded by her paintings, and we heard Diana Magaloni, heard her talk about how these scribes and artists of the late 1500s there was a meaning to the colors they chose for the Florentine Codex, this encyclopedia of their culture. But these tlacuilos, remember, this is the 1570s. It had been 50 years since the fall of the Aztec Empire. So these tlacuilos, all they knew was toppled temples. All they knew was, another society taking away their writing and their culture and resisting. That's all they knew. And they were recovering. They were writing their books in a time of crisis. And so we've had these experiences the last 3 years as tlacuilos, tlacuilics in Mar Vista and in readings in Pasadena and different places in LA County. And now we've got this document, this book. And I hope that you purchase it in order to feel a bit of those transcendent moments that all of us have felt, and we try to communicate in this writing, because these transcendent moments have been about bringing some of the pain, some of the conflict from our backgrounds, but they're about healing. They're about moving forward, and like Yago said, about saying that we are here despite attempts for us not to be here. And so this is a piece that's in the book. It's called Black Box. Tlacuilos worked the materials like clay, stone, and wood. They picked up the splinters and shards of their grandparents' world, sequestered, building a universe that would later be called the Florentine Codex by people with faraway cataract telescopes. They sheltered in place because there was a pandemic, just as they were about to finish the Florentine Codex. A hole in the wall let in an image of the outside world. Upside down, the outside world makes sense. Our room is Sandy's studio, a converted 1-car garage in Mar Vista. It's the part of the city smoothed by thousands of years of morning marine layers that ground the rich soil. We keep the morning marine layer in our lungs as long as we can, and then we exhale. Adrian witnesses, Adolfo witnesses, Arminé witnesses, Darren witnesses, Diana witnesses, Gloria witnesses, Leticia witnesses, Linda witnesses, Julia and her memory witnesses, Sara witnesses, Yago witnesses. We look at each other. The crisis of the truth leads us to question, leads us to wonder whether words have power, leads us to realize that words have power. Words lift the dead. They make the sun rise. Words allow us to see the tlacuilos in their harvest shelters of volcanic rock. They write, they paint, they choose the ink. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's black. made of stone, made of roots, made of petals, light enough to be taken by the wind and dropped on the channels that are no longer there, the channels choked by concrete to the sea. Temple stones piled, the sickness, mothers dead, the decoders of the dreams dead, obsidian and steel. When we close our eyes, we are in total time, surrounded by black stone walls, porous enough for us to hear what's going on outside, but sharp enough to bleed our fingerprints if we escape. Outside, the world falls apart. Within these black walls, we remember to create an image that is not a representation, but is its own universe. We never lived in a world without toppled temples. We never lived in a world without embers and the smell of burned amate, the drumming, the beat, the soles of our feet grinding soil, wet and dry. How do we keep the words from disappearing? How do we keep the words from turning to dust? The secret's in the flower. Take the orchid, its petals, its smell, and wrap the words for us, our children, and the ancestors. 1519, 1521, 1600, 1650, 1700, 1750, 1810, 1821, 1910, 1917, 1992, 1994, 2019, 2021. I'd like to introduce, Gloria Enedina Alvarez. So much, Gloria. Adelante, hermana.
Wow. It is, I am truly blessed to be amongst these stellar voices, keepers of palabra, movers of social justice, of arts and letters. Amantecatl, the artist of the feather. It is for him, it is for her, it is for them to humanize the wants, the love of the people. Dueño de un rostro, dueño de sí, de él, de ella, de ellos. Es humanizar el querer de la gente. Solo en su libro de pinturas vivimos. Loque Nahueque Nezahualcóyotl. Only in her book of pictures we live. Aquí en Califas, the city of angels, here where the open wings of mariposas cross streets like they cross borders, crisscross voices with those who came before us, to those who will come and strengthen the resolve of those here. Orange is the color at the end of sunset against a blue-gray. Here, niños recién llegados are as old as the sun that brought them here. New moon return. That's why we need to reach into the earth with our words coursing through our hands. so that they can return once more, new but old with strength, the knowledge, the wisdom that is witness, purpose within action, within love, colors, the vibrations, the music of time, face up, cara, corazón, y manos. That's what the Antiguos would say. Face, heart, and hands. Morning gathers from night's last cloud. A glimmer of light interrupts abandoned sounds, palpable from slightly open lips. The body's secret doors, from opened eyes, invisible corners grow closer, crowning the dark. Life unveils the body's shadows, formless. Courage forms in places where acts and language dream. The cool hands, crystal silence, colors the season. Blank lips at a distance, stretch unpronounced name. An ocean carried washes over, then breathes forgiveness from skin, erased like a fistful of dust. Mirror of your eyes unseen. Within the silence, a hammering, every cell preserved while purified, immobilized perception, edges unfrozen, ablaze, become the desert shore, floating. Quick, full breath, map of ancient whispers, rebellious divinity found. Words of days, in time, everything in its time. Todos somos. Es un placer. I'm honored to introduce Diana Magaloni, who brings light for a new understanding to us. Mil gracias.
Hello, Gloria. Hi, I'm very happy to be here. It's a dream come true. The book is out. It's so good. So I'm gonna go back to what Adolfo was sharing with all of us. The fact that we were linking the past and the present, and how context and our histories are meaningful, and how that meaning we should, there hasn't been in this year that is 2021, marking the 500th anniversary of the capitulation of Mexico Tenochtitlan, a moment that creates all of us, because it changed the world and it created this mixed European and one nations, indigenous nations world where we're living at. The dream of many of those indigenous savants and leaders, it's preserved in books of history that it's not disseminated. So I just wanted to make an ode to a hero of this time. His name is Antonio Valeriano, and he was governor of Mexico Tenochtitlan in the year 1533 to 1599 in the República de Indios, the indigenous republic, when there was still an indigenous government. And he wrote the amazing work together with other 20-something Nahuas called the Florentine Codex, which is the memory of all of these people and one of the most important works that has ever been created. He was mentioned by the Franciscan Bernardino de Sahagún as the most savant of all of them. He spoke Nahuatl, Latin, and Spanish, and he also bequeathed us with the Nahuatl version of the Virgin of Guadalupe apparition. So we owe a lot to Antonio Valeriano, and we don't have a note for him. So I wanted to have it in this year. And thanks to my good friends and poets, it is now published. So I feel really honored and grateful. Ode to Antonio Valeriano. You are seated on a woven mat made of reeds, Antonio Valeriano. The reeds that represent the fertile, abundant earth. I'm woven together in a mat, all of your people. Nican Titlaca, all of us here, Antonio Valeriano. As you see the reeds erect and multiplied over the water, shining with the bright morning light, you know the reeds of your woven mat are the new sun, the spirit of all that exists, of everything alive, birds, fish, jaguars, serpents, powerful wolves. There is no end. The woven reeds of your mat, Antonio Valeriano, are the world in unity. And today, as the Indian governor of Mexico, Antonio Valeriano, it is your duty to guide with wisdom. Seated on a woven mat made of reeds, Antonio Valeriano, your thoughts have attained the highest possible frequency. They are like the minerals of a rock, like the colored cells of the flowers. Your thoughts create the world. Seated on a woven mat made of reeds, Antonio Valeriano, in a present where time and space expand and multiplied vertiginously, you begin weaving new words in Nahuatl, Spanish, and Latin, making the new Mother Earth to appear. You give us Tonantzin Guadalupe, knowing well that her mantle of stars and flowery dress will be dyed in indigenous blood for the next 500 years. This is in homage of our children and of the children of all of those who fought that war and who have fought wars and continue to believe in the future. Dear little one, you took it upon yourself to carry the burden of our destiny. You screamed your lungs out with courage as you were burned by an unfathomable blaze. Midnight turned into midday. You were turned into fish to swim across the cold, murky waters of Lake Texcoco, filled with blood and human flesh. This is the task you took upon your shoulders, to be fish and carry the sun, to be fish and worship a new God, to be fish and plow the earth with flowers, to be fish and spread the ancestral seeds of our future. Like fish, you are preyed of the greedy. Like fish, you are ignored and consumed. But you continue swimming together like fish, to clear the water, to turn it into the crystalline living substance that sustains us. Like water, you're 80% of our blood. Like water, your death meant our creation. And this is a poem for Jacqueline Amey Rosemary Cal McKean. At age 7, she crossed the border and died. Jacqueline, you are the earth in its entire splendor. Your veins are rivers filled with the power of life. The hairs of your arms, soft luminous grass. Your mouth, the cave. Your teeth, the stalactites and stalagmites through which one is led into the center of heat, where everything is transformed, and digested, where food becomes blood and death becomes life again. Your eyes, oh, your eyes. In the portrait that Sandy made of you, they look straight into pain, beyond suffering. It is through your eyes that we see the pain of all mothers and fathers who have seen their children die. Your eyes have been transformed into the center of our galaxy, a black hole so dense, so concrete, so compact, so powerful that it dissolves all matter and propels the expansion of our universe. Jacqueline, your 7-year-old body was returned to Guatemala in a small black coffin. It was the first time you traveled by plane, and you rejoiced seeing your body, the earth, from the clouds. But even there, in the infinite space of death, you are still thirsty as you continue to wait for a glass of water that was never offered to you in the detention center of El Paso, a glass of water that might have saved your life. Thank you. I think these are all my poems for tonight.
Darren is up next.
Hey folks, I hope you can hear me. I'm in San Francisco and I'm actually recording a podcast that deals with 40 years of violence prevention among youth and gangs here in the Mission District, which is a podcast that I'm producing. So as we're talking, my voice is a little bit low. It's because there's a podcast recording going on in the next room. But I'm so happy. This is like a dream, one of my many dreams coming true. Thank you, Josiah Luis, for your efforts in the bookstore. And certainly all my brother and sister poets who've participated in this project. For that, I'm very grateful. And thank the creator, Elizios. I'm gonna read a couple of pieces. As you can see, I'm a big Joe Strummer fan, old punk head. This first one's about a white leather bracelet that I wore for it. The white leather bracelet, the white leather cuff bracelet appeared oddly strange against my sienna skin, as if my body was visiting privilege until all of my air exited through your copper knee, which was purposely firmly planted on my neck. One of the most memorable moments being part of the collaboration is a series of 10 podcasts that we produced. Myself, Adolfo, Sarah Harris, we kind of used our radio skills and built it, and people showed up, and it's still very much available. If you look up if you look up Project 1521 podcast, you can hear all 10 episodes. Incredible endeavor that we took on, and I think it paid dividends. And I remember just being so proud of just posting that first one, and then the second one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. And then at a certain point, it became so overwhelming me for me that there was only one person that I felt comfortable enough to come in and take over. And unfortunately, Sarah Harris is not here. And so I firmly understand that if you want to get the work done, you got to reach out to a female so she can work in, because she's going to do it probably better than I did. And it's true. Incredible podcast. I thank Sarah for her help with it. This next piece is a reflection about immigration, migrants coming back and forth, and how the difference is inside the history of America from the past to the present. It's called Tiles, Scans, and Strong Feet. Then it started with the image of freedom and boats carrying the oppressed. Now, the leaves that heal our lungs are capsuled and sweetened. Then, the awakening of tired eyes as hearts are drawn towards the shore. Now, we walk through desert, gardens renamed as intrusive weeds. Then, trekking, working, searching for a sip of the new elixir called young country. Now, the shimmering of the Quetzal tail warns us of jeeps and infrared jails. Then, broken mirrors and faded pictures, scarves with the silent scent of the past. Now, depictions of a plague and burnt books written for us to stray away from extinction. Then, warm showers with Braceto Asylum, their exits coated with Dust Bowl relief and DDT. Now, in yerbas we trust, in white tiled rooms we rust. I'm gonna finish the last piece. Like I said, I'm a tremendous Joe Strummer Clash fan. And I actually translated I translated the Combat Rock album from the Clash, which has mixed reviews from hardcore fans, but I love the album because it's just a masterpiece. And so this is a translation that I wrote for the car jamming track. And when I say translation, I don't mean word for word from English to another language. I mean from one context to another. And this one being about the current asylum movement over the last couple of years, last couple of presidential administrations, not just, there's a continuation of some very poor, inhumane policy that did not start with the last administration. It started previously and has only been built and less inhumane since. This was called border jamming. Tonight they stabbed all of my wounds and poured gasoline over my head. And who are you, funky multinational caravan walking in the thousands, Bluetooth cumbia wireless headset? Entonces un chamaco de Oaxaca, sister raped in the belly of the Jeep. He cries in sleepless tears. Now he knows narco kindness, smack cocaine, hepatitis, as bodies slashed head to toe. The machine gun in the closet, the nightmare of empty eyes in a border jam. The safety of a crossing, blistered feet, still he rise in a border jam. In earthquakes and wasted rivers, Facebook spreads like bees in a border jam. The Utah Jazz are crystal white, Salt Lake City chopped at the knees in a border jam. Smuggling is what smugglers smuggle. Billionaires upon the hill can slide their nose across the mirror, wearing red bags, wearing red hats of hate and torched ignorance. Once inside, the executive is frightened of diners and backfires. Nagarias fight for freedom. Vultures use the stacked courts in a border jam. Snakes cage up the babies in chain link prison forts in a border jam. While inside hileras, below where two countries meet, the seekers grab at plastic bags filled with food to eat. America lacks empathy and kindness, and it's intentional too in a border jam. Now shaky ports of entries claim a thirst for the oil of Venezuela. The Twitter feed is abuzz with pictures of mi abuela, of pictures of mi abuela, of pictures of mi abuela. I thought I saw Edie's Chacon. I thought I saw Edie's Chacon. Compas y hermanas, Edie's Chacon in a border jam. And now that is a movida I gotta see, undocumented and proud of it. Thank you.
Yeah. Darren, just as you started doing that last poem, the band that's playing in the alley started playing the guitar to your music. It was a perfect moment. Perfect. Oh, mi gente, it's such a wonderful evening. Give it up, por favorcito, for the Poetas of Project 1521 and their new beautiful libro, Tlaxquilex, Tongues in Quarantine. Wow, mi gente, gracias so much to the poets that participated tonight. Arminé, Iago, Linda, Adolfo, Gloria, Diana, and Darren. This is wisdom, this is medicina, this is historia for us. I'm gonna gush if I start telling you how happy I am to have this in the world. Y'all have done it such a beautiful service, for real. Can I actually ask one quick question? Can I do a question to the poets? It's the book, y'all take the colonized narrative and you absorb it, you give it back to us for us. And I'm reminded of books like Francisco Alarcón's Snake Poems, or recently the poet Angel Dominguez wrote a series of poems, Desgraciado, to the Diego de Landau, that Franciscan friar who burned all the Mayan books, but those are individual creations, and sort of taking that poetics of decolonization back. You all worked on this collectively. How is that? Because I spent time with it when Darren dropped the book off yesterday. I immediately started looking, and there's such a unity and a cohesiveness to the pieces going into each other. How'd you do that? How? Because I'm curious. I really am.
What does that book say? 10,000 hours to master something. Yeah, I'll just say just a couple things, and I definitely want to hear what the other poetas Tlaxquilex have to say. But it's spending time with each other and breaking bread, and you know what it is, Josiah? It's living life, and going through life. We've been going through life. We haven't moved in with each other, but we've been there as loved ones have died, in each other's households. One of our members, Julia Bogani, she passed away. She was a Tongva elder here in Southern California. And that was very painful to go through. Yeah. So I'd like to hear what the other poets have to say.
I'd like to address something. I think the cohesiveness is of course everything that Adolfo brings up. I think the wonderful workshops that were offered gave us a common experience, which was easy for us to draw into the same type of energy. And so we created and gave birth to these writings and these poems with that energy intact. I think we had a great committee of editors. That's why there's 4 names in that editors on the front, because it was a collective work of 4 of us. And as we worked in groupthink and respected each other's opinions and suggestions, and honored our selections and honored the truth that we speak, and we all had our own truth, and together, as long as you speak truth, and the truth will come out. And I think that's the result of this the collection. It's very perceptive that you're able to see that, because at some point we looked at the order, and the order almost read like a story, and that was something we were very proud of. And so I just want to extend a thank you to the other committee members, Yago, the publisher, Adolfo, the lead poet inside the group, Linda, Linda, with her spunkiness, and she punched us in the face a couple of times. That was fine.
Only when they deserve it.
Exactly. And so that's, like I said, it's the feminine energy that we had to honor. And we knew that, that's, we had to pay attention to that. So yeah, I'm very proud of our efforts collectively.
Any other poets want to comment?
Yes, I would like to thank everyone. Thank you, City Lights, for hosting us, for having us here today, and everyone for making this happen, including the audience here. I'd also like to say gracias por la confianza, because I think it really is that confianza, that trust, that makes this kind of thing, possible, both in life and in the writing itself. And yeah, bravissimo to all of you for making this happen, for helping us to be able to truly honor the our tradition of in la ech, tú eres mi otro yo, and taking that further. We are extensions of each other. Thank you.
Gracias a ustedes. And what's next for Project 1521? I know Darren mentioned a new series of podcasts. Is there a book tour? Are there going to be readings at the taco shops? What's going to happen next?
I think we're just going to try to catch up on our sleep, first of all.
I actually have a little announcement. We were invited to the 44th Annual University of California at Riverside Writers Week by the great poet Allison Hedge Koch, wonderful American poet. And so we're putting together a panel to read at that wonderful event here in SoCal, and that's February 13th. So that is upcoming.
Yeah.
And I also have an announcement. Throughout this time, I work at Lackman. I've been working on an exhibition that really looks at the past and the present, and Sandy's work. It's also part of the inspiration. So we're going to have a program within the program of the exhibition that it's opening December 12th, the day of Guadalupe. So everybody's invited, and I hope we can have you in the museum and hear the poems in the galleries.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And also, if anyone in the audience wants to rewatch this performance, and who wouldn't, it's going to be up on the YouTube City Lights page very, very soon. So that's going to be up in there. And once again, gracias to the poeta so much, so much. This is Medicina.
Gracias.
I'll be sleeping under, this libro is going to be under my pillow tonight when I go to sleep.
Thank you. Thank you.
And please, mi gente, keep tapping into City Lights. We have got a bunch of beautiful events coming up in the fall. There's a celebration for Diane de Prima's libro. There's a reading with Garrett Caples and Cedar Siegel coming up too. Bunch of really good stuff all through October. So check in with City Lights. Be safe, mi gente. Be well. Hope to see you all in the real mundo soon. City Lights loves you. Take care of each other.
Thank you.
Great seeing everybody. Big hugs.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Love you all.
Bye.
Thank you.